Joe! Joe on Joe is the only podcast where Joe talks about Joe. And now, your host, Joe Slepsky.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Joe on Joe. This is the podcast where we've covered every single issue of the G.I. Joe Real American Hero comic book series. We've talked about all the Sunbow cartoon episodes, DIC, even Extreme. And now, me, your host, Joe Slepsky, we're doing some episodes called Draw with Joe. And I'm excited to do this week's, scared to do this week's. Might be easy to do this week's. Honestly, I have no idea because we're drawing a Skystriker today, guys. And a Skystriker vehicles, much different than drawing like a human form that can, change shape and look a little different here and look a little different there. Like vehicles kind of got to look like vehicles. So I'm excited to see how we do it today. Thank you all so much for joining me. Check out last week we did Hawk in Profile. A couple weeks earlier we did Hawk Steady On. We'll see how this week goes. I think next week we're probably going to hit Major Blood. I don't know if we're going to do 2 weeks of Skystriker, but you never know. What does the book give us? The book gives us a head-on look. There's a head-on Skystriker next week. I don't know. We are following the Blackthorne comics from the 1980, like 87. This is issue 1. There's a lot in all of them, and they're a lot of fun. They're very funny in that they do a fine job for the space that it has, but it's like learn how to draw in 4 quick pictures, like draw a triangle, then draw the Skystriker. Like that's but I'm having fun. I hope you guys really are. It's it's fun. It's fun. I haven't really drawn in a long time, so I hope you're enjoying it. I'll tell you what I enjoy doing. I enjoy hearing from you all. So check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Joe on Joe Pod. You can send me an email to joeonjoepod@gmail.com. Let me know what you think of this new segment. If you like it, if you don't, is it a dud or is it a stud? I don't know. The videos of this, of course, are up on YouTube. And I also host them on our Patreon page, patreon.com/JoeandJoePod. So you can watch them on there. They are totally free to watch on there, but the members get them usually about a day early. Not today, though, Satan, because it is Tuesday in the late afternoon in Los Angeles. Although I did record a fun podcast this week. You're probably not going to hear it for quite a long time. We're doing a fun little side project. Shout out to friend of the show, Michael Nye. And so that's in the offing, but that won't be out for a little bit. So when you record over the weekend, then you forget that, oh, wait, that's not for this week's episode. You tend to get a little bit around the ball. So here we are. It's Tuesday evening, and we're recording Draw with Joe. I'll bet you, who doesn't do last minute podcasts because they've got their act together. The Movies in a Meal podcast. I'll bet you they're on top of it. They have to be, because they talk about all the greatest and latest coming soon movies, and also the movies that dropped that weekend in the theaters. You can't get on in like 3 months later and be like, hey, did you see Dune 2? Like you got to be current. You got to be on Johnny on the spot. So that's why they are on the spot with it. And that's why my podcast is about 40-year-old comic books. What are we at, 30-year-old at this point? No, 40-year-old. Yeah. 40-year-old, 30? 35. 35-year-old comic books at this point. That's what we're talking about, because I can't keep up with the trends. But shout out to all the listeners. Shout out to our great sponsors, Movies and Meal Podcast. Check them out. I saw Planet of the Apes. We see a lot of movies here. The Slepsky, Joe on Joe House, Toilet Teal, and I. We saw Planet of the Apes last weekend. Absolutely amazing. Really, really loved it. Saw Fall Guy the weekend before. I enjoyed the heck out of Fall Guy, especially being an old school Lee Majors fan. I thought it was just great. But we are not here to talk about Caesar, literally. We're here to talk about the Chicago Bears pencil. I hope this is in focus. It's kind of the preview video that I have. I hope it's in focus. This pencil, not going to lie, probably from 1985. Not even going to lie. Kept it for this long, kept it this sharp for this long, kept it this long for this long. I don't know about your school, but first of all, for any young listeners out there, this is a pencil. And in school, we used to use pencils to do our homework. But in the school, they had vending machines, and for like a nickel or 10 cents, definitely wasn't a quarter. Quarter were like pens, but I think it was like a nickel or 10 cents. You they had sports teams pencils, and they would come in and out. So the janitor who stocked the machine, he would tell us like, hey, we got football ones in, or or our friends would get it. They would just tell us, but they would like, sometimes there'd be football ones, sometimes there'd be baseball ones. But the goal was, this is the early collector gene, right? You had to collect all the football teams. So you try to get like all the NFC North, all the, um and there were always a few that were really, really hard to get. Thankfully, there were always a lot of Bears ones in ours, because there you would have murdered someone for this. That's why he's the only one left. But for real, real OGs understand these pencils and how awesome they are. So I found this in my bag of tricks. I figured I'd bust him out today. I was going to bust out Spider-Man head, but Spider-Man's going to sit off in the sidelines today as we go OG with Chicago Bears #2. Also, last week I talked about pencils and hardness and stuff. I found one of the HB is one of the pencils that I used to like to use. So I busted this out. If I remember, it's a little harder lead. And so I think that means it doesn't erase as well, which means you would use that for your finishes. And this is being so soft, you would use it for your layouts. So maybe we'll try that today. Or maybe the Bears pencil will just be so dynamic, like that you won't want to erase anything, because it's just awesome. So here's the Blackthorne page for it. So to read they give you, to draw an entire F-14 jet, they give you 3 paragraphs. The trick to successfully drawing any complicated object is to recognize the simple shapes that make up the more complex structure. We're going to draw the Skystriker, keeping in mind the basic shapes underneath the combat jet. And that actually is very true. We did talk about that with the with drawing the ovals and on Hawk's face. It's really prevalent when you're drawing the human body, of like doing different ovals to where they connect. But when it comes to vehicles, it's really spot on and really can help you draw one without feeling like you're, like it's like giving it solid, giving it weight and making it look solid. Also, because there's a comic, the page is curved, so it looks like that line's a little curved, but obviously that's a flat line. You got your triangle, that's your Skystriker. Now, it doesn't mean that that's the edge of the Skystriker. You see, you look in there and it's got a little curve to it, but it means that those are the focal points. Those are the points you want to hit. The obvious shape in the first shot of the Skystriker is a triangle. You draw the shape, then you bisect it with a line down the middle. Now, what's funny is these how-to books, they never really tell you things like, also do that line there and that line there. Like, they just assume you can see it and do it, but they don't tell you to do it. Begin to add the cigar-shaped cockpit and the cylinders for the engines. Make sure to use the center line to give symmetry to the jet. Carefully note the details of the cockpit and wing sections and the way that the rounded flat planes interlock. Tighten up that rough drawing. So we see here that this is where they want you to kind of really fill in the gaps and really make it like your borders tight. And then at the end here would be where you put all your finishing touches, and you put all your no step stickers on there. So that's what we're going to attempt to do today. Hopefully this one's pretty dope too. Hopefully we can knock it out. Hopefully it turns out pretty cool. The other neat thing that I have, so I'm going to set this to the side. We'll keep that in frame, and I'll be working off of the one over there. The other cool thing is I dug these out. These are the official Joe Kubert T-square triangle combination from the Joe Kubert school. I did a what do you call those, mail order? Yeah, like a remote class. What do you do? You correspondence course. That's it. I did a correspondence course of the Kubert world of cartooning in the late 90s, early 2000s. And when I say I did it, what I mean is I paid for it and I got the materials, but then I never submitted any finished product. I could have. It was well within my what do you scholarship? What do you pay you when you tuition? It was included in the tuition of the course, is that you would submit your work and they would give you grades on it. However, me being me, never did. However, I still have all the materials, all the books, all the how-tos. It's pretty neat. I really like it. And a good T-square and triangle is great for drawing. So we want to do it on an angle here. So we're going to do, how about this? And what a T-square triangle does is it gives you This may not be perfect. Like someone who really knows how to draw might be like, why are you wasting your time with this? I'm just using this as an example to get a nice clean line. So like that's your, um, this is your edge of the paper. So the T-square butts up against it. And then this is I believe, 45-degree line. So if I want a nice flat line, I could do, this would be a 90-degree if I wanted a 90-degree line. And then this is, what would this be? Oh, no, it's 30, 60, 90. Duh. Pythagorean theorem. Sorry. 30, 60, 90. So this would be a 60-degree line. And then the other one would be a 30-degree line. So we're going to do a 30-degree line. Let's go back to that. Where was that? Dum, dum, dum. Yeah, 30, 60, 90. That's the whole Pythagorean theorem thing. Yeah, so this is a 30-degree line, which kind of matches what they have on that page. So we'll just do that. All right. And I really kind of have no idea of size, so how much we want to do this. But we'll say these will be the guidelines, how big this is going to be. So I do this knowing that we may end up going off the page. And if we do, oh, well, guess what? So that'll be that. And then you want... see if I can kind of make this happen. So if that's... oh, that's what we want. Oh, here we go. So if that's that... this is really exciting for you audio listeners. I apologize. And you know what? And I take that back. No offense. I don't apologize per se. It's always an adventure doing this fun stuff. I hope you're enjoying this. And if you're not, I'm sorry. So we're going to say, all right, so this is what we're going to do. These are going to be the dimensions of our Skystriker. We're going to say, the way they got this is pretty... well, actually, let me do this. See, I don't have a smaller one. Ideally, if I had a little smaller triangle, but I don't. How can we do this? I know there's someone watching this going, GIJOE, just do it. You got it. It's right. Oh, there it is. That's it. That's how you do it, I think. All right. Do that. We're going to say that, and that is about... see how precise all this is? It's about 3 inches. So that should be right to about there. Hold on. Copyrighted. There you go. So that was to about there. So if that's that, but 3 inches, then this should be, then this should, to be real, should be a pretty even triangle. It's the dark side of the moon, or pretty close. I don't know. As close as I can to rough it. If you don't like it, join Cobra. All right, so that's our rough Skystriker. Can you guys see that? Is that on the camera? There we go. That's our rough Skystriker. Now they're saying, oh, because you want to hit where the wings are at. So about here. I would say that should be, yeah, that's roughly, it's about 6'3". Yeah, that's about the middle. Yeah, it's a little awkward, but right about there. 3.5 would be 7, 3 1/4, right about there then. So you see, we're using math and we're using measurements to kind of rough out how we want to do this to get it so that it is at least from a base. Listeners, what I'm doing here is I'm just using the triangle and the T-square and the ruler to kind of measure out the basic locations. So that's That's the top of it. Oh no, shit. Shoot, sorry. Nope, that's not. No, 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 we're okay. We're okay. We'll go to the tail. I just swore in my podcast. Listen, kids, I know there's some kids out there listening. Don't swear. Don't swear. Okay, we're gonna do that. I'm not gonna tell you why you shouldn't swear. Just don't swear. Because you make more lemons with lemonade than you do with swear words. Okay. So that's kind of the triangular shape that they put together in this one right here. Right? I got that. The through line. That's all there. Right? It's going to be a little fat. It's going to be a little awkward. But then they said to use some circles to kind of make your cockpit. Now, I have a French curve, which French curves are actually kind of tricky to use. I do have a circular stencil, but I don't really know where it's at. I got it. Got it. No, that's a little too big. Anyway. So we're going to eyeball this. We're going to do some circles to kind of make the cockpit. Barrel. So it goes off the rails when you're not using a ruler. But you find the line if you keep working it. That's one of the early lessons that I was taught by my art teacher, Miss Kramer, was that there's no real mistakes. All the lines are in there. It's just a matter of uncovering them. I think that's someone famous, someone like Michelangelo for real. I think they said something like that. Like all the statues and stuff that they carved, they're all in there. They just had to find them. Yeah, we're definitely off the rails as far as proportions here. I'll tell you that right now. This is going to be fat. This is going to be a fat Skystriker. Okay, so kind of got our layouts down. So this to there. So right about there we go. I loved the Skystriker, an absolute favorite of mine. I mean, obviously, who doesn't? I think this should be here. And we're gonna change this up, kids. Skystriker was dope. That's all there is to it. It was one of the very first vehicles I got. I had a big hand. I was a big kid, so I could paw it in one hand. We've talked about that on the show. I think like the Conquest X30 was a little better for that. But the Rattler definitely was better for that. I think most people had to do a two-hander on the Skystriker. I could kind of grab the back and do it, but it still would fall. My struts always broke. And by struts, I'm talking about the landing gears. Always broke. I don't know about you guys. My landing gears constantly broke. And when I say constantly, I mean it broke once because I only had one, but it broke early. And I was never able to get it to really repair it. I think I tried a few times. It was that little square latch piece thing, that looked like that. You guys can see that? That broke all the time. I don't know if I saw anyone that was intact, but mine definitely broke. Dun, dun, dun. So there's a little bit of move there. There's a little bit of butt. And then we go out here. So again, because this is sort of like we draw them, you draw, then you draw. Like, let's teach how to draw, then we'll draw it. It's going to be weird. Yeah, I'm already off here. That's okay. Yeah, this is going to be wild. This is going to be wild, ladies and gentlemen. But you know what? This is live. We'll do it live. I gotta be honest. That's why I never drew like Transformers when I was a kid. the solid shape was never my forte. I dug the Skystriker though. My always was in play. Oh yeah, these are the back ailerons. Always was in play. Was I think I mean I only ever had one Skystriker and I had one Conquest X30, and that was it. Like there was no. I had no fleet. I had a Dragonfly and I had a lift tickets. The Tomahawk. Yeah, a Dragonfly and a Tomahawk. And so we're doing down there. We're doing. Yeah, this really is harder. This is so funny. Again, this. So you know what's funny? So this is testing that. Hey, everybody can draw. Crap that I was saying in the first that I was saying in the first few episodes. Like this really is testing the. It's testing the. I'm also trying to do it live. It's almost like I want to just eyeball it first instead of using these guidelines, which, you know, it's probably a really bad habit. And it's probably why a lot of people don't find success in art because they're like, I'll just do it without looking. I don't need underlying form. I'll just draw it the way I want to draw it. And and then you're gonna get you get a little you run in some trouble. But it's weird. Like in my head, I can see what this is, but when I try to follow their guide, I kind of can't. So Ace always flew. Ace always was my pilot. Like rarely did anyone else pilot the Skystriker other than Ace. Because I feel like I think at a young age even I was like specialty guys need special. That's their job. Like it's not like Ace was constantly manning the air sea platform. Like the guy had one job, and actually this should be here. The guy had one job, and it was to fly the plane. So we're using the plane. Why wouldn't he fly the plane? Of course, that made traveling a little harder because sometimes you had more than one person that needed to get somewhere. But then again, Skystriker should only be being used to strike things. Hence the name. The cartoon really did Ace dirty, like in a real way. The show did not adhere to my edict that specialists do their special jobs. The show was like, hey, anyone that wants to fly a plane, you can fly a plane. And I imagine that's because they didn't want it to be the adventures of Ace and Clutch. Anyone that wants to drive a Jeep, you can drive a Jeep. Except for Wild Bill. If you notice, Wild Bill always flew the Dragonfly. And when I say always, I mean, most of the time. I'm sure there were some exceptions. But Wild Bill almost always flew that Dragonfly, which is great. I mean, it makes sense because you have a character like Wild Bill who's amazing, right? Why wouldn't you see my perspectives are off there? See, I got a little there, Why wouldn't you, of course, have Wild Bill in every episode? Like, there's absolutely no reason why you wouldn't. Hey, partner. And so maybe the question there then is, Ace, maybe if you were a little more interesting, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Having said that, Ace is a little bit like Mav from Top Gun, and maybe it's a whole team of Mavericks. You know what I'm saying? So here we go. Well, you know what? It's starting to come together. We're starting to make some connections. We're only 26 minutes into this, but we are. It is starting to come together. It's starting to look like a Skystriker. Happy little wings. I can't tell you the last time. I really, literally can't tell you the last time I tried to draw a Skystriker. Amber, we're trying to use rulers, which actually could make this all go a little faster. Trying to use rulers and angles and all that. This is where I go like, I'll let the inker fix that. We'll get it in the inks. That is parallel with that. So that's actually that line. And I like the panel. I always like the panels on planes. I loved the Rattler and the battle damage on the Rattler. I was a sucker for battle damage, period. Like, don't get me started on battle damage He-Man. When I feel like that might have been the first battle damage thing I encountered. Although probably if you looked at the timeline, probably the Rattler was first. But no, I take that back. X-Wing Fighter. They did an X-Wing with battle damage. I did not have it, but the idea of it, I was enamored with the X-Wing Fighter being battle damaged. I think that was for Return of the Jedi. Oh, my baby's having a little cough. All right, we'll be right back. All right, we're back. While you were away, I continued to work on it. What I found was that obviously with the ruler, some of these straight lines look better, but it also it really helps you kind of see the underlying structure. For example, and I know these are way wonky, so don't hate me. But like this part here where the wings flat back, that matches the end of the cockpit, and that is the end of is where the wing meets. And you've got these little, the way they've drawn it is you got like the like, I guess it's the flaps. It's the rendering of the flaps there. So those flaps kind of correspond with where that crook is. Over here, obviously it's all very squishy. It's all very, very, very squishy. But, similar. And actually, it should be there. That line should be there. Yeah, that helps a little bit. I don't know. Again, this is going to be all over the place. This one's going to be all over the place, guys. This is definitely a notch harder. And I apologize. My little baby girl's in the background. She's coughing a little bit, and Mary Jane's had a cough for a little while. She's 15. She's awesome. She's a frequent guest star on Joe, and she's the best. But she's got a little bit of the cough. So, all right. So we're gonna go to right about there, and then we're gonna go right about there. Oh yeah, Mary? You got a question? Sorry. One thing I always wanted to do when I was a youngin'. Yeah, see, this thing is all off tilt. All right, we're back. Dog situation taken care of. Fed and happy. So, what you quickly learn, what I quickly learn when it comes to drawing things like, like vehicles and stuff. Again, this isn't a Transformer show. Is that, man, so much of this is literally just perspective and angles and perspective, because like everything's got to be in sync. So like there's this is like, this is gonna be off, but like that's gonna be there, so we're gonna do that. That's gonna be there, we're gonna do that. Like it's definitely gonna be off a little bit. But so much of it is just getting the angles right, and then And then it looks to your, look how it looks to your eye. But it is, they're right though. It is just circles, and it's like, here's the, where's that line? There's the afterburner. So the Skystriker afterburners, man, did I want me a Skystriker afterburner to put an ST's rocket in. I've talked about that before. I used to put a rocket in the Thunder Machine. That was awesome. It worked. Went shooting down the street multiple times. But I really wanted to put a rocket into a Skystriker. And so I guess actually based on these angles, this should be it. It should be following this, right? I think so. I think it's a little weird, but and then that cuts there. Because they were built like they were hollow, like they're in, in my brain. I was like, God, let's put a rocket engine in there. And then there's just this dreamer in the little head of me, little kid head, that was always like, of course it would fly. Like, it wouldn't not fly. It's, it's shaped like it. That was the thing. I was like, it's shaped like an airplane. It's shaped like an airplane. So of course it would perform like an airplane. Like, that's just science. Right? I mean, stop me when I don't make any sense here, because that's just science. So here we go. We'll just do this a little bit. And luckily, I say that luckily for, hey, possibly one of you listeners who bought my Skystriker from me when I finally decided to divest myself, go back in time and kick that guy. No, I'm just kidding. I had to do it. It was time. I never did. I never put a rocket in the Skystriker. Never did. Because saner heads prevailed, and I realized, man, I would just destroy that thing. At least, oh no, you know what? I mean, yes, saner heads prevailed, but as I'm saying that and I'm thinking about it, I'm not even joking. I think what stopped me was that broken wheel assembly that I talked about earlier. I genuinely think that's what stopped me from putting a rocket engine into the back of my Skystriker, is because I never felt that engine would hold. So I guess good. That broken piece saved the Skystriker from absolutely being destroyed, because I don't think it would have held very well, and I do think that it would have broken upon entry, not survived the process, and would have been an absolute mess, which would have been a shame, because I probably wouldn't have bought a new one at that point. I was a little older. I still was playing with them. Don't get me wrong. I was still using the Joes. They weren't just like put away or anything, but I don't think I was buying new Skystrikers at that point in the game. I stopped getting the bigger, like, I never got a flag, me and everyone else, tell that, cry that river. Although I'm sure everyone saw the really great joke that's going around the internet now of the adult size USS flag tub, like remodel your tub to look like the flag. That's pretty great. I think I've had that sent to me 5 times, which that's not a complaint. I love everyone that thinks about me, so I love it. But yeah, that's pretty funny. Whoever thought to put that together, kudos, sir, kudos. All right, we're gonna do that. So then you're just roughing in a lot of the detail, which is like panel work. Which is not very exciting, but we're still going to do it. And then the cockpit, there's a lot going on in this cockpit. like a lot going on in this cockpit. We're going to turn that into the actual canopy piece. We're going to go put the actual other canopy piece there. Do that. And we're going to erase that. And we're going to... And again, some of this would be fleshed out in an ink. Like you find the line in your pencil and then you come in with an ink and you make it a little firmer. But we're not doing that today. You don't know why? Because I think we're already 40 minutes into this. And I'm not saying it's riveting, but you know what? I'm not saying it's not. As I'm recording this, we're coming up on the Temecula G.I. Joe show. I might be at that. I'm leaning towards going. If any listeners are out there and you hear this, look for me. I'm a big bald guy. Shocker. There are going to be a few of us there. But I'll be, maybe I'll wear a Joe and Joe shirt. Maybe I won't. Just listen to the deep voice and just go up and ask every bald dude who's super handsome, hey, are you Joe from the Joe and Joe show? And I'll be like, yeah. And then some other dude will be like, yeah. And then you'll get him to do something crazy. Then they'll blame me. Then I will get arrested. But you know what? That's how you play the game. I'm just kidding. Don't get arrested, kids. A crazy week this week. And I normally don't do stuff like this on the show. You guys know I like to keep it profesh and just talk G.I. Joe stuff. But occasionally, human things come into play. We had a crazy story. We had a package thief. And I know package thieves happen. That's nothing exciting. Except this package thief caught on Ring camera. And again, I know, everyone's got a Ring camera. These things happen. What's exciting about that, Joe? Well, the problem is that this genius was actually doing their job. They were working for a delivery company. I'm not going to say the name. And the only reason I'm not saying the name is because they have been very responsive and very cool about reimbursing us. As we say this, I'm waiting for the actual reimbursement, but they've been very responsive so far and kind of ironing this out. So we have video footage of an employee of theirs, and we know it's their employee based on the time codes, based on literally what they're delivering, etc. and so on. Dropping off a product at my neighbor's house, and then walking by my front door and just casually going, yeah, I want that. And hey, they took Toilet Teal's products. They took her jacket. That ain't cool. You don't steal from Toilet Teal. Boy, was I one angry podcaster. So much so that we got riled up and we reached out to a lot of people. You got to draw a little missile there. And but the good thing is, the positive thing is, we're expecting a positive resolution very, 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 very shortly. And if not, then you're going to hear part 2 next week on Joe for sure. I will say that for really, what's crazy is that like you're working and you're doing it. I'm not apologizing for any package thieves. I'm not saying any package thievery is good, because I think it's just scumbag. Like, come on, man. We've all come on. It's weird. We've all come into the social agreement that as society moves to home delivery and we all work from home, we all get everything shipped to home, we all got to be cool. We just got to be cool. Just don't just be cool. Let people buy their own stuff. Don't ruin it for everybody. Blah, blah, blah. And, that's not necessarily what's happening here. So when you get someone who starts doing stuff like that, really ruins everyone's buzz. Let's be honest. But it's crazy that you think you'd be able to that you're thinking like, I'm going to get away with this. when there's ring cameras everywhere. Even if there's ring cameras everywhere, and everyone's got signs that say ring cameras. And even if they don't have a sign that says ring cameras, there's cameras everywhere, and you're working. There's a record. There's an internet record of you doing your job that day, which was delivering a product, and that's when the thing was stolen. Therefore, then, you're the thief. I can't wrap my head around it. Now, granted, obviously, person's not very bright to start with. So that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with someone who's not very smart to begin with. And I understand that. I completely understand that. But still wild. Man, really wild. Really wild. So that was my week. A bunch of other stuff happened too. And I hope that everyone had a great week, because why wouldn't you have a great week? It's a good time to be alive. There's cool GIJOE stuff out there. My Renegades stuff shipped. I think Axis and Allies is shipping soon. And by Renegades, I'm talking about the like Silent Castle storming set. I believe that shipped, and one of the RPG source books shipped. Don't even get me started. I have all of those. I have yet to read one of them. That is stupid. I am dumb, but I really like it, and I work hard for my money. So I'm going to spend it on stuff I like. And I like G.I. Joe. I also like Skystrikers. So I hope that this isn't terribly offensive to the Skystriker community. You can see it's a little rough. It's a little here. It's a little there. It's no Skystriker is complete. Hold on. No Skystriker is complete without a no step. I loved the no step stickers. I looked forward to putting them on every toy that came. All the toys had no step stickers. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you've never played with G.I. Joe. If you've played with any G.I. Joe, then you know all about the no step sticker. We missed this. We missed this little piece right here. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, bum, bum. Ba-dum-ba-wump. And then there's probably some, like, some of these are guidelines I can go, but I'm actually just going to leave them in there because I figured I'll be erasing too much. So now, actually, let me pick up this harder pencil and do some of this. This is like inking. So when you use a harder, do you guys see the difference there? I'm pressing a little harder, to be fair, but I'm not pressing all that much harder. You see how much more black that is? It's kind of like, it's a little bit like inking. A little bit, not really, but it's a little bit like inking with pencil. So you found your lines with the soft, and then you go back over them with, this is a HB pencil. HB, and that's the other pencil that I really, really enjoyed using back in the day. Yeah, you see how that's just making that nose cone pop? Let's do this. Let's really put a finish on this nose cone, and then I think we're going to call it a day. Man, I hope you guys are enjoying this. I hope, again, audio-wise, I hope it's worth listening to. I hope I'm bringing enough action to the soundscape. So this is this is fun. This is not, hey, it is what it is. It's got the no step, always no step, no half stepping either. Well, there you go, ladies and germs. I'm not saying it's prime time ready, but I will say, for not having drawn a vehicle in probably, what am I, 48? Not even joking, probably 35 years. I really didn't draw a lot of vehicles. I really was a character person. I think it's terrible. And knowing that my perspectives are all weird. dig it. I mean, who doesn't love a Skystriker? Like, real talk. Who doesn't love a Skystriker? Shakedown. Shakedown. With Joe on Joe. Boom. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Now you Joe, and Joeing is half the battle.